I'm Master Corporal Alan Quiche. I'm an infanteer with the Queen's Own Rifles of Canada, paratrooper by specialty. So it was actually a friend of mine who was in Army Cadets when I was in grade 7, when I was 13 years old, that just seemed to have so much fun that kind of got me interested in it. So I'd say from the very first moment that I arrived, and there I was standing at attention, being yelled at, and marching around outside and doing push-ups, I'm sure. I kind of just fell in love with the experience. Worked my way through the ranks from cadet all the way to Regimental Sergeant Major, the highest position in the Cadet Corps, and then just did a seamless transition from aging out in December '98 to aging out of cadets to joining the military in January of '99. The one advantage, I guess, of being a reservist is you sort of manage your own career as you progress, and one opportunity that came up that I could take advantage of was volunteering to serve as a peacekeeper in Bosnia and Herzegovina. And I think we did that because A, we joined the military to serve our country, and B, what I think a lot of people don't understand about military training is that's what it is, it's training. You're always training, but the only time you ever get to put your occupation actually into practice is when you go overseas. So whether it's the war in Afghanistan and you're actually doing war fighting, or in my case, serving as a peacekeeper in Bosnia, you're putting that training into use and actually getting a chance to do your job. So I made a decision in my own mind before heading overseas to Bosnia as a peacekeeper that if I needed to, I was ready to take a life. Now, it's always easier to say that. Most tours in Bosnia are not typically considered, even by the soldiers themselves who are there, to have been very, very busy. I can feel pretty lucky that our tour was extremely busy. So we were at one point tasked pretty early on in our tour, probably within the first month, to go and take over what they call weapon storage sites. Everything after the Bosnian conflict ended in 1995, from 92 to 95, was categorized. So everything from a single bullet to every rifle to every piece of weaponry, tanks, aircraft, whatever. And so we took these weapon storage sites, we took them by force. That was probably the only time that I ever cocked my weapon with the intent that we might go into combat. Thankfully, I can say that it didn't turn out that way. The Croatian soldiers were more than happy to give up their posts. They hadn't been paid in months, and so they left peacefully, but we then maintained those weapon storage sites throughout the rest of our tour, and I believe even into the next rotation. And I do remember actually having a chance during my tour in 2001 to go and visit Sarajevo for the day. And I remember seeing the Olympic Stadium, but seeing the stadium and the football field that had been built for the Olympics in Sarajevo just lined with crosses of dead people. It's hard to take sometimes. You know, like I attend many Remembrance Day ceremony, both with the military as well as on my own with different volunteer activities I'm involved with. And often, like, they'll rhyme off the conflicts, you know, World War I, World War II, they'll forget about Korea. That always irks me too. You know, I think we lost 500 some odd soldiers in Korea, and really before Afghanistan, it was the last war that we were involved with, even though I think they called that peacemaking, actually. It changes your life and you appreciate what we have in Canada, and we're so lucky here. Burnt out cars and buildings all over the place. You can see buildings with remnants of gunshots from tanks or from artillery or mortar fire, even small arms fire. It just made me happy to be a Canadian, but sad that people were relatively unappreciative of what we had done over there. And you know, people at that point in 2001 wouldn't have even known anything about the Bosnian conflict, and so they were like, oh, like, you've been away for 6 months? Oh, like, what were you doing? You know, and then you're like, oh, well, I was serving as a peacekeeper in Bosnia, and they'd be like, what? What's Bosnia? Where's that? That's always hard as a soldier, especially when you've decided to put your life on the line, potentially, for your country, and this is how the public reacts.